a bang.
Purchase your tracks today.
Sinner made 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 a bang.
Hey, shalom, fam. Shalom. Oh, whoa. What's going on? Shalom. Okay, all praises. Yeah, man. I guess I was set up in a room. Let me do this. Copyright disclaimer. This content does not belong to Bible Chronicles or claim this intellectual property. The content provided today has and always will belong to content owner. Bible Chronicles does not have any affiliation with the owner of this property. As mentioned, Bible Chronicles does not intend to make use of any material for the purpose of harvesting gain. However, Title 17 of the United States copyright law states material and use can only be done when it's for theological or general educational purposes, and thus Bible Chronicles believes that this principal material falls under fair use, which honors protection under Section 107 of the same U.S. copyright law. Copyright disclaimer. This content does not belong to Bible Chronicles or claim this until. Okay, perfect. All right. Okay, excellent. All right, so let me go ahead and just start the class. It's the mental shackles. Now, keep in mind, guys, this is not my Sabbath, but the fact that some of us have been taught wrong, I want to, at least for the sake of the saving our nation, I'm willing to do the things that you guys are common to, in order to at least bring more truth to y'all in the ways that you kind of are accustomed to. Okay, we've been taught wrong. I understand that, but that doesn't mean that the word has to stop because maybe we have a so-called quote unquote disagreement. It's a disagreement because it's basically disinformation. It's not the proper info. So we need to basically, well, I shouldn't say basically. I need to stop saying that word. We need to really study the word of God in order to determine what is right and what is wrong, what is the right way to celebrate and what is not the right way to celebrate. But that's not the class today. The class is called the mental shackles. Okay? Listen, these stories got to be told, brethren. We are reaching out to you, so-called native Indians, the ones that are in the North Americas, that are indigenous to the Americas, that if this resonates with you, I am speaking to you. You are our people, and you've suffered as much as we have. And because of the unfortunate suffering, we get to learn what we were basically taken from. This history was not available to us here in like the South Central and South Americas. So we really, really, really do this for y'all. Okay, now let me start the class. Here it goes. Now, why am I playing that? All right, this is important, guys. We need to reflect on a lot of the things that have happened to our gente. Okay, these things are not to be taken for granted. Now, the reason I'm using this particular video and I'm starting this because I want to show y'all a particular video that's called this state had the most indigenous boarding schools in America. Okay, so now they targeted our sisters and our children. All right, so now let's reflect. Let's remember, what does partus sequertum ventrum mean? Okay, this is what it means. Remember this. This is from their own mouth. All right, I'm not making it up. This is what they're saying. You see, for a long time, we haven't been told that these things were actually pertaining to our people. We've been taught that it would basically pertain to the other nations, right? So, because of that, let's continue.
A common characteristic for the first illustrious so-called African Americans to rise into prominence was a melanin deficient parent, in most cases, a father. This outcome was mostly a result of Virginia colonial slave statute, partus sequitur ventrum. That which is brought forth follows the womb, meaning the legal status of a child born of an enslaved Indian woman will always remain enslaved. This law gave planters and free white men in general carte blanche authority to impregnate captured.
The planters were the black men. He says it that way. The planters and the white men. Listen to this. Again, this is not the class. I'm only doing this for our sisters and our brethren, the little ones. We need to remember what happened.
Men in general, carte blanche authority to impregnate captured women without having to so much as even claim responsibility for their mixed planters and free Indian woman will always remain enslaved. This law gave planters and free white men in general carte blanche authority to impregnate captured women without having to so much as even claim responsibility for their mixed race children. Just as common, these children were sold on the mulatto maid market as house niggas for an added sticker price as compared to their darker skinned counterparts. In this aspect, Virginia colonial law was totally contradictory to English common law.
Not only that, this law was totally contradictory to what we were being taught. We were being taught that this applied to the so-called black man and the so-called black woman. And again, it did apply to them in a certain aspect, but what I keep stressing is, why are we being ignored in the historical aspects of slavery? When it comes to the shackles, it applies to them. The ships, it applies to them. The land, you don't hear about it. The treaties, you don't hear about it. No, they consider that manifest destiny, but they consider theirs a curse? Come on now, man. Our sisters and our little brothers mean a lot to our families. They mean a lot to us. Because with us Hispanics, so-called, and so-called natives, family is everything. Let's go.
Which states that a child's status follows the father. Of course, this law extending from the earlier Virginia codes was designed this way to assure legalized rape of indigenous women without consequence, and naturally the perpetuation of slavery through a duplicitous modification of English common law. Children born of a white mother and black father were considered free.
Contrary to what we've been taught for centuries.
Children born of a white mother and black father were considered free. This modification of English common law. Children born of a white mother and black father were considered free and were counted among free people of color. White men
were counted among, okay?
Were freely allowed to abandon or kill their children without recourse, solidifying their position as the first deadbeat dads in American history, to the point that many of the most notable so-called black men in history, like Frederick Douglass and Booker T. Washington, never even knew who their white fathers were.
Yet I found an article or a book where it showed that they were as bad as the so-called white man when it came to slavery and how they treated the slaves. Deuteronomy chapter 28, verse 31. Thou shalt beget sons and daughters, because our mothers were daughters. Thou shalt beget sons and daughters, but thou shalt not enjoy them, for they shall go into captivity. The video is called "This State had the most indigenous boardings in school." Okay? Let's pay attention. Let me just do this real quick for the sake of
copyright disclaimer.
YouTube.
This content does not belong to Bible Chronicles or claim this intellectual property. The content provided today has and always will belong to content owner. Bible Chronicles does not have any affiliation with the owner of this property. As mentioned, Bible Chronicles does not intend to make use of any material for the purpose of harvesting gain. However, Title 17 of the United States copyright law states material and use can only be done when it's for theological or general educational purposes, and thus Bible Chronicles believes that this principle material falls under fair use, which honors protection under Section 107 of the same U.S. copyright law.
Okay. All right. So now here we go. Let's see. I found this very
Are you doing
interesting.
your holiday shopping
Very
online this
interesting.
year? I'm going to show you one trick that's going to save you a lot.
Very interesting class. Very interesting video, man. And you know what? Again, it relates to the morning one. Okay. Again, it relates to it. And what am I doing? What do you think I'm all doing, brothers and sisters? You think I'm trying to like, oh, let's find some sympathy for strangers that don't belong to us? No, I want to remind our spirit what we've been through in the flesh. We've been so dormant for so long that we don't even recognize the oppression that we go through. It is like you're born into bondage. Born into what? Into captivity. Look, Deuteronomy chapter 28, verse 6, 19, I believe? Yeah, 19. Cursed shalt thou be when thou comest in, meaning when you're born in captivity, that state of mind of destruction, You're already going to be destroyed because your parents would already go through that and they've been oppressed already and destroyed. Cursed shall thou be, and cursed shall thou be when thou goest out, meaning when you die. So when you're born or when you die, it's going to be the same. That older brother that we saw in the morning, the elder, you saw how destroyed he was. He was destroyed. He was crying, remembering what he went through when he was a child. Thou shalt be, then cursed shalt thou be when thou goest out. Do you think he had the chance to repent, let go of that bitterness, anger, resentment, sadness? No, man. He probably, if he passed away already, he died with it. This is some serious things, man. All right, let's go.
She said no more Indian talk, and then she pushed me.
Former students of indigenous boarding schools and their families are demanding that the U.S. government and religious leaders take responsibility for the abuse they endured.
I want them to tell the world what they did, that they have two faces. One face is evil.
And that's what I'm doing, brothers and sisters. You need to know that these people is your people. They were your ancestors, your forefathers. They are your bloodline, and they've been just treated as bad as we've been. They have, just like the boarding schools, the separation of children. When ICE goes into our homes, guess what? They take the children if they're not all legal, and when they're all illegal, so-called, they take them to and then arrest them. There's 100 and something $12,000 children reported in 2021 that were taken into custody. That's not even regarding the asylum seekers. The asylum seekers were about 30K. Yes, it was a lot. 30,000 children haven't been found completely. There's a lot of children still missing. The face of evil has to be expressed. And we now, as time goes on, understand that this particular doctrine is no different than the one before. It's distraction. To what? To distort us, to keep us away from our spirit. Remember, the Most High dwelleth in you.
Churches that once operated the schools are now confronted with their buried pasts. After Canada discovered hundreds of unmarked graves, families in the U.S. are still desperately searching for the remains of missing children.
He could be anywhere. Well, those stones.
We traveled to Oklahoma, the state that housed the largest number of these government-funded boarding schools and caused generational trauma for the
generational trauma. So let's consider what a generational trauma could be. Okay, what does generational trauma do to you? This is what generational trauma does to us. Okay, let's go to the scriptures real quick, because this particular class was all by the Spirit, all strictly by the Spirit, man. I didn't even really plan this. It literally just came. Ecclesiastes 7:7. It reads, surely oppression make a wise man mad. Aren't we upset? Didn't you see the elder brother in the morning crying? You think that wasn't pain? You think that wasn't anger? And gift destroys the heart. Why? Because he has what? A reservation? I mean, what? Maybe, a couple $100? Let's see. Let me see what you're saying, brother. Real quick here. Let's see. So they were mixing while we were slaves. Yeah, man. That's the point. That's exactly the point. Because when you look, okay, if you guys have a chance, watch the movie called Antebellum. Okay, in the movie Antebellum, there's a scene where the so-called black woman is, because she's a, I don't know, a writer, or she's a publicist or a speaker. And there's this so-called white woman that wants to do an interview with her. So they're talking and talking in between. Now, when you look at the movie, you're like, okay, this is awkward. But when you see and use your spiritual eyes, remember, the nation of Israel is considered a woman. Jerusalem, right? Nations are considered women, right? The earth is considered a woman. So these are two women or two nations talking to each other. And you can see a word called wares. W-A-R-E. The white woman uses that, how you're just spreading your wares. Because why? That wasn't the initial plan when they first came here. That was not the plan. Watch the movie, and it says
prior, because antebellum is prior to Civil War. But what it's really saying is like, yo, the Civil War stuff, like that history, that whole slave stuff didn't really happen, man. They had it good. We were going through that. So they were mixing while we were slaves. You excuse my language, brother. You damn right. That's exactly what was going on. Now, is it all of them? No, because the people that were our gente that looked like them, they were being treated like exactly. All right. So what's another thing that happens to when you get generational oppression? This right here, man. So when I do these classes, it ain't to bring bitterness. It's to bring understanding. It's to bring us together. Because honestly, when I grew up in the hood, growing up in the hood, you know what brought me together with my people here at the streets? We all went through the same thing. We all suffered the same way, man. And that built us together because their pain, I felt it and I understood. And there's nobody that's going to understand us because they haven't gone through what we've gone through. Our culture is different. Our spiritual ways are different. The way we look at our mothers is different. The way we treat our elders is different. What we expect from them is different. We're lost children when our elders are not in their position of what? Of prestige and respect. Those are facts. And it creates bitterness. Having or being a taste that is sharp, acid, unpleasant, causing, let me magnify it. Causing a sharply unpleasant, painful, stinging sensation, difficult, distasteful to accept, proceeding or exhibiting strong animosity, bitter struggle, bitter foes. Remember, the colonialism, the spirit behind colonialism brought anger, hatred, frustration, anxiety, disorder, chaos, and what? Bitterness that lays within our skin. And that's why I'm doing these classes. I want to bring us together once more so then we can together deal with this rooted damn anger because we're like cangrejos with each other. We love each other, but we hate each other. Man, that's such a spiritual thing. Sirach 121 says, the fear of the Lord driveth away sins, and where it is present, it turneth away wrath. Verse 22, a furious man cannot be justified, for the sway of his fury shall be his destruction. So that's not what I'm trying to do, brothers, because I know that that's destruction. I'm trying to wake up our spirit to have compassion for our gente, which we haven't had for so long.
Hundreds of thousands forced to enroll.
They need to let everybody know what they did because it affected all of us.
Why did y'all do this? Why? And they lost their childhood, they lost their spirit, they lost their innocence.
Watch this. I can show you how to get the sweetest deals online. Target. You can drop.
I just resigned myself to it and I closed my eyes and I clutched my teeth and I put my hands out. She kept hitting me with the ruler until finally I guess she got tired. Then she said, no more Indian talk.
Augustina Rolero was 6 years old when she was forced to attend a boarding school called Carter Seminary in 1940.
11 years old. So I want you guys to wrap your mind around that, okay? Just if y'all can just 7 of you brothers and sisters that are watching, close your eyes for a moment. You're 11 years old right now in your life, and somebody comes in and takes you from your mom and your dad. You're 11 years old. You're 11 years old. Remember your 11-year-old ways, your spirit, your toys, your friends, your uncles, your sisters, your parties, everything, your language, your culture. And they say, vente conmigo. Boom. And that's it. You're done. 11 years old. Y'all got to wrap your mind around that. Generational oppression. And that happened to our people till this very day. What do you think is going on with them? No wonder they're bandidos, man. No wonder.
The school no longer stands, but was run by the federal government when Augustina attended. As Augustina struggled to learn English, she said she was punished for speaking in her mother tongue Muskogee.
I felt it was my fault for breaking the rule. I just blame myself.
There were more than 350 government-funded church-run residential schools that Indigenous children were forced to enroll in. In recent decades, there have been allegations that physical and sexual abuse took place at these assimilation schools across the U.S. Augustina also recalls a fellow student facing consequences for walking outside of a single file line and wonders to this day where she may be.
The matron came and she took her, seemed like she jerked her from back here somewhere and threw her. I never saw her after that.
You see, he threw her. He threw her. And she said she never saw her after that. So you think that maybe by throwing a child, 11, 10, maybe 9, could have hit her head? I mean, it's happened so fast. It happened so fast. You see, this is why the doctrine of devils, of teaching hate in our spirit that's already destroyed is not going to feed us. That it's not going to do anything for us because we don't have hate like that. We just want to live and raise our families and do as best as we can, because when I talk to our gente, that's all that we talk about. I deal with a lot of contractors because of what I do. And most of them are our gente, of course. And we get to talk and they're like, man, yo nomás quiero tener mi familia y trabajar. Eso es todo. Like, all I want to do is, oh, by the way, this is a Spanglish channel too, okay, guys? So I do some classes in Spanish. But every time I make them, like, not a lot of people watching, man. So I'm going to try it again and see if maybe it helps this time. Anyhow, so that's what we go by. So remember, James 3:14 says, but if ye have bitter envying and strife in your hearts towards you, towards your family, towards your people, towards the enemy, towards anything that has happened in us, if you have any type of strife or envy in your heart or in your mind, glory not and lie not against the truth. This wisdom descended not from above. That is not what I'm trying to teach. This is not the wisdom of hate. This is the wisdom of understanding. That's why in the Bible, we have history about how we went through slavery, right? Deuteronomy 28 says we were going through it. So this wisdom descended not from above, but it is earthly, sensual, and devilish. You, white man, you're the devil. You're the devil, man. You're the devil. Yeah, you need to kiss my boots. I can't wait to the kingdom. Give us our kingdom back. Man, I want this land back. Da, 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 da. Okay. And then what else? That's all I ever see these classes are about, man. I don't see any development, any growth whatsoever. It's been already, I don't know, 30 plus years now. What's going on with the internal growth? There's none of it. Everything's just a reminder of how the white man sucks. We're going to get the kingdom. You got to be black. This bully here's the bomb. Hey, look at our music. You're making massive amount of money and you're not distributing to your family. So I don't understand. For where envying and strife is, there is confusion and every evil work. But the wisdom that is from above is pure, meaning clear. Then peaceable. Am I teaching hate? No, I'm teaching let this go. Let the oppression go. That chaotic spirit is in us right now. Then peaceable, gentle. And I don't mean gentle as in, oh, you're sensitive. No, man, that's not what the scriptures are about. The Messiah didn't move that way. Gentle just means what? Compassionate, man. And easy to be entreated, meaning easy to talk to, easy to deal with. Full of mercy, because that's what we're teaching here. Good fruits. Why? Because we're teaching that we need to teach our children to keep the laws of God. Being better men, better husbands, better sons, better daughters, better elders. Those are good fruits. Full of mercy and good fruits, without partiality and without hypocrisy. Because listen, man, I'll slice it in any way. I will show y'all that our gente is also corrupt. You guys saw that earlier this morning, Colombia, in Cartagena. They have what? They're sleeping with donkeys, man. They're losing their quote, quote, virginity to animals. Are they so-called black? No, they look just like us. So I'm going to slice it both ways. No partiality without hypocrisy, because if I only showed other nations, I'd be a hypocrite. Verse 18, and the fruit of righteousness is sown in peace of them that make peace. Be at peace with all men, brothers, because you never know when you may need the mammon. Look, I'm going to share something real quick personal. I had to deal with something personal in my home. If it wasn't for one of my brethrens, like here, like of our nation, he recommended me to deal with someone else. Guess what? He's not of our nation. But because of that, I'm able to finish the project. I got to pay him back, of course, but no one else did it. Why? Because You have to make friends with the mammon. You never know when you're going to need the help. Come on, brothers. I mean, come on, man. It like sounds like a trap. Traumatized sounds like a trap. Well, I don't know what you mean, estudiante, but let me continue. So remember, we got to be dealing with each other correctly, peacefully, right? Because in reality, this whole chaotic colonialism is going to have to leave us alone, or else you're going to die in it.
The schools came out of a period that many consider to be systemic cultural genocide against Native people when colonizers forced tribal nations to relocate from their land. During the violent relocations, thousands of Native lives were lost. As the U.S. established itself as a nation, the government, along with several denominations of the Christian church, set up schools for Native children. General Richard Henry Pratt founded the first so-called Indian boarding school in 1879 under the mission, Kill the Indian, Save the Man. That school served as a model for the hundreds of assimilation schools that expanded across the U.S. and
100 assimilation schools. Assimilation schools. Deuteronomy, I know you guys are going to think I'm going to go Deuteronomy somewhere. I'm going to go here, watch. Deuteronomy 28 and 20, it reads, and the Lord shall send upon thee cursing, vexation, and rebuke in all that thou settest thine hand to do. Hey, don't speak that language. Cursing, rebuke. What did they do to them? Didn't they beat the living crap out of the older brother in the morning that he was saying in the video? Doesn't vexation cause bitterness, anger, and resentment? Isn't this what we're watching right now? You're going to see a sister right now actually go through it. She's actually like bitter. Her spirit is broken. I've talked to a couple sisters. Their spirit is still broken a bit. And they're doing their best to build it back. You know how hard that is? Cursing, vexation, and rebuke in all that thou settest thy hand to do for you for to do. Hey, sit down, shut up, put this hat on. You look like a donkey. Don't speak that language. You got to act like a white man. Until thou be destroyed from your heritage. Until thou perish quickly from your culture, from your respect of your elders. Until you perish quickly in alcoholism, in suicide, in a destroyed mind, because of the wickedness of thy doings whereby thou hast forsaken me. And that's the unfortunate part.
And into Canada.
They baptized us without our parents' permission. It was yes, ma'am, no, ma'am. If you didn't follow the rules, you had consequences.
Augustina's granddaughter, Vanessa, only recently found out about her grandmother's experience. She says institutions that operated the schools have stayed silent for 2
Yeah, that doctrine, that's sparking up hate. Yeah, man, that's the thing. That is so freaking true, because I was saturated with it, man. When I first came in, I was like, yeah, and I was already angry, you know what I'm saying? So I was like, yeah, you're right, the white man, yeah. Excuse my language, bitches cabrones. I was like that, man. I was angry, and I was like, oh, my own people. You don't believe? You're a heathen. I'm like, and then I had to really, and I wasn't going nowhere with this, man. I wasn't growing. I was still dealing with issues. And finally I left, and then all of a sudden the understanding started being very clear to me, man. I'm like, bro, I'm so bitter. I'm bitter about everything. Even though I wasn't as angry in all of this, but I still had bitterness in my spirit. Why? Because all of that is hate. You can't kill hate with hate. I mean, I'm not going to use, oh, you kill hate with love. No, you kill hate with the scriptures. Because it says, if you have any bitterness, you might as well just forget it. You know, turn in your flag, man, because you ain't going to make it. And you're going to see this sister, man, she's broken. You saw the tattoos in her neck and all of that. That's an expression. As I got them. And I know what it's like. When I was young, I was angry, man. I was frustrated. I grew up in a very chaotic environment, bro. And then I was already chaotic myself. Let's go.
too long.
The church, the government, the mission schools, the Catholic Church, all of them need to be held.
And you see, when I was watching this video, man, this is like almost like how my daughter looks like, man. This is literally like my daughter's face. Exactly almost the same. Her lips, her nose, her eyebrows, like literally like her mom. Now, my daughter's not like this. But this sister, guess what? She's in pain because the grandma, because of what the generational curses do to our children, man. That was the title. What was the title? Let's go to the title real quick. I was like, what was the title? Deuteronomy 28:41. Thou shalt beget sons and daughters, but thou shalt not enjoy them, for they shall go into captivity. You don't think she's in captivity right now?
Responsible. An apology won't, be enough. People need to be prosecuted.
The large majority of boarding schools closed in the 1970s. Most school buildings were demolished, abandoned, or turned over to indigenous tribes.
I'm gonna let it play at 5 minutes and 15. I believe that's where I want to show y'all something.
But the lasting effect of these schools on the indigenous population is immeasurable. Students received a poor academic education, focusing instead on farming, domestic chores, and reciting prayers. Today, Native people have a higher unemployment rate than that of the total American population. While many survived to share their boarding school experiences, not all children returned home to tell their stories.
What would you want to say to your brother who may be out somewhere here?
We'll find you eventually. He could be anywhere. Well, those stones.
Christine Eagle Feeling has wondered for years where her baby brother lies. She frequently visits the cemetery at Shalaco Indian School, where she suspects her brother may have been buried. With records missing, Christine doesn't know his cause of death and can only rely on information her mother passed on to her.
Bueno, ¿y qué es karma? Pues es
What name they gave him when they buried him.
The Shalaco Indian School operated under the Bureau of Indian Affairs and closed down in 1980. Since then, the alumni have continued to pay their respects.
We honored them because they were us.
The alumni gathered their own funds to use a ground-penetrating radar to locate dozens of unmarked graves. So far, they have identified 67 names through their own investigation.
Wow, man, you saw that? You guys hear that? Now, when you talk about this is crazy. Deuteronomy 28:28, it says, 26, and thy carcasses shall be meat unto all the fowls of the air, and unto the beasts of the earth, and no man shall fray them away. They're barely finding the skeletons. They're using radar to find them. And the Indian Affairs, that's all eugenics. All of it. I have a book exactly on that, and I was looking for it, and I couldn't find it, man. Honestly, I couldn't find it. I wish I would have found it. It literally mentions Indian Affairs, eugenics, yada, 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 yada. Man, it's just crazy.
But with insufficient access to records, they're unsure about the causes of...
Oh, by the way, what's his name? W.E. Du Bois was in charge of the Tuskegee Institute, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. Now, is that related to the Tuskegee program? I don't know. But I find it very awkward that it has a similar name. Why would you attach yourself to something like that? Just saying.
Death.
It's an ongoing process. This is our brothers and sisters, and we will not abandon this cemetery.
He's out here, yeah, somewhere. It'd be nice to know.
Many Native people are seeking answers for the children who didn't make it home.
Are we the last ones? Yeah.
Augustina and her family joined members of different tribes to walk 24 miles in remembrance of the missing children.
I said, these kids, when they were taken from their parents, were forced to walk to these schools, and so it's only right that we walk. We're going to stop traffic if we have it. You're going to listen to us.
The march ended at St. Gregory's.
Y'all hear what it said? You're going to listen to us. That's what I'm saying. You're going to listen to us today and from now on. It's time that our people start hearing about what we went through, because One West does not teach any of this.
Abbey, a Catholic church.
Do you know what they teach? Hee-haw. And let's see what else. That you guys are boats, and that that's it. Oh, but man, Judah, Benjamin, Levi, bro, there's a whole plethora of information on them. So-called Benjamin, Judah, and Levi.
That previously ran a mission boarding school for Native children called Sacred Heart. The community is asking for an investigation into unmarked graves on the site of the former school. No specific allegations have been made against the abbey or school, but demonstrators from several tribes believe children died under the church's supervision.
Hey, you know what, brothers? 22619. It is, man. It's really in circles now at this point because there's no growth. I mean, I don't see any. I look, listen. I literally go to some of the classes, like, all right, because there used to be this older man that I used to listen to, and I was never part of their camp. But every now and then, I thought he had pretty good, decent spirit, right, from GMS. And then all of a sudden, man, I went back to listen to just kind of like about maybe a month ago, because I started doing my classes and I stopped listening to people. So maybe 4 months later, man, I go check them out, and all of a sudden the spirit is different. Now I think they're sensing that these things are coming about, and now they're like, "Oh yeah, that extra color or that extra woolly hair, or you better know that Christ is black and the Messiah is black, and you better swallow that pill." That's what it's leaning to now, for real. Y'all pay attention. I'm not lying. It's very clear. While our people are finding themselves escarbando all of that porquería to make a change in our life, to apply the laws of God, and the wisdom comes. That is what we want. Forget even thinking of a kingdom or wealth or lots of women. Forget all of that. How about we just learn how to keep the laws of God so we don't sin? Man, that would be just good, just fine for now. We don't have to kill each other, rob each other. We can marry our children properly, respect our elders, eat healthy. What is wrong with that? That's all I'm aiming at. One day at a time, fellas. One day at a time, sisters.
This is where we want them to start. There are probably lots of children out there.
A priest from the church came out to address the demonstrators.
Can we ask a few questions?
Oh yeah, pay attention to this. This is hilarious. All right, so I'm gonna sit back for about another minute and a half. I'm gonna run to the restroom. All right, here we go.
Why you are out here today? Or?
Not on camera. He later read a statement prepared by the abbot claiming no knowledge of unmarked graves.
We are unaware of any such unknown burial sites at the locations of our former missions. We are prepared to work with others to make sure proper honors have been given.
We followed up with the church's abbot, who says within the month, he has reached out to tribal leaders to launch an investigation into unmarked graves in its cemeteries. As Augustina shared her story of abuse with the crowd, the priest listened and later approached her. Father Copeland is not affiliated with the school Augustina attended, but it was a rare opportunity for the two to talk.
Well, he just said, I'm sorry, that's all, that I'm sorry that you went through that.
Do you feel like that contributed to your healing at all?
Not really. It didn't. We're going to have to be more than an apology,
You see what I'm saying? It's going to be more than an apology. You're right. It's going to be this right here. Because look, listen, and this is part of the salvation, guys. You're going to have to accept this. Okay? Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 18, verse 7. So of thy people was accepted both the salvation of the righteous, meaning our gente, all of them, like Lazarus, who has suffered so much, and everybody's had it so good. Okay. So of thy people was accepted both the salvation of the righteous and the destruction of the enemy. You got to embrace both. But you do that first by working on yourself, not with hate. Get rid of the bitterness. That is our work. That is our job. That is the job of a Hebrew.
I healing.
Because check this out. We ain't taking this flesh. We ain't taking this flesh with us. So where's the work internally? Remember, the kingdom of God is within you.
Would be when the federal government, I want them to stand up and tell the world, this is what we did. Right. Admit it. Admit it.
The Abbey said it's unaware of any records of children who may have been buried.
Yo, listen, and this goes for you so-called blacks also that are the Phoenician. Admit it. You guys had a lot to do with this. You took the lands, you took our come on, man. Admit it. This goes for you so-called white man and you so-called black man. Admit it. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. Please make sure that you say you take the good with the bad. Let's all be frank now. Let's bring the truth to the forefront and find out exactly who Hebrews are, who really did what they did. If we took people in captivity, then we got to pay. If I come from a heathen nation, then I better pay for what I've done. So guess what? The same goes for y'all.
Buried at Sacred Heart. The lack of records and the difficulty obtaining those that do exist is a common issue with Indigenous boarding schools. Experts say many documents were intentionally destroyed, while others are scattered in archives across the country. We spoke to a reverend who isn't surprised records are missing.
I think the lack of knowledge and lack of record was intentional to keep it a secret.
The Methodist Church is one of many denominations that ran assimilation schools. Reverend David Wilson represents Native people who belong to the institution. He's calling on leaders of the church to learn about its past and make amends with its Native victims.
Large majority have no clue what's going on with these boarding schools that probably are.
Hey, listen, man, all praise is that they're bringing the scriptures, but the problem is that you're not going to give them answers. First of all, you don't got a beard. Secondly, you don't even know exactly what you're teaching. No disrespect, brother, but the fact is that you're not a specialist in this scripture. You got to humble yourself and teach our brethren the reality of what the Bible is saying, because you're going to teach them that we're Gentiles still. So keeping us in a Gentile mind, again, oppression make a wise man mad, and a gift like this destroys the heart, meaning the mind.
Are in their own areas across the country.
Do you think that's a problem?
That is a big problem. We continue to have to remind the United Methodist Church about who we are.
In 2009, President Obama signed a resolution apologizing for past policies toward Native people. 12 years later, the first Native Secretary of Interior, Deb Haaland, is launching an investigation into government-funded assimilation schools. And the history of those schools still remains largely left out in textbooks. Attending Carter Seminary changed Augustina's life. She's still working to forgive herself for the way it affected how she raised her family.
I'm gonna let it play and then return it because of commercial, okay? And you hear what happened, man. She's still affected by the way that she raised her family, like the oppression. Hey, man, my father was an alcoholic, right? Now he wasn't an alcoholic when he first married my mom. The stress of life and family, I guess that had, and it was already like in him dormant. You know what I'm saying? That spirit was dormant because he didn't drink, and that was just destroying them, man. And my dad, he remember before he passed away, he told me he regretted what he did. He regretted the way that he raised me. Every one of us feels this way, man. Every single one of us feels we regret what we've done to our children. That is the generational oppression, brothers. That is the generational oppression. While we are trying to gain our family back, One West is teaching the men, give the woman a year and a half and they don't change, you can leave her, even with children. Oh, and if that's the case too, then have more children. Oh, and you don't have to worry about child support because a lot of these women are actually demanding it and they're not paying it. Find out yourselves. I'm not lying.
Schools. And the history of those schools still remains largely left out in textbooks. Attending Carter Seminary changed Augustina's life. She's still working to forgive herself for the way it affected how she raised her family.
I love my children. No, I loved them. But at the same time, I could not tell them, I love you. And because I guess it was never said to us.
How many of us experienced that? How many of us have parents that have never told you, I love you? Not one time. I make it an effort to say that to my children. An extreme effort. And now it's like natural. But since I was young, I was like, I don't ever want to be that way with them. But this is difficult, even for her. Why would such a word like that be so difficult for us? You know why? Because of bitterness. That's why.
Maybe I never felt the love. Because at the same time, I could not tell him, I love you. And because I guess it was.
Hey, brother, man. Hold up, man. Yeah. That's right. Let him know, Ak. Let him know. I'd be happy just to be saved, meaning like I just don't want to sin no more, bro. Honestly, that's really what it comes down to, man. I already been there. I've done that life, and it mentally destroyed me. Even the little bit of the taste of a sin, man. Honestly, the word magnified sin to me, and it's just as distasteful and as destructive for me. I'm 100% on everything, man. I'm not ever gonna give you, excuse my language, half-ass effort. I'm either gonna do it or I'm not gonna do it. That's why you get everything out of me in these classes. The Most High knows them way I am. I'm either gonna do it or I'm not. Y'all know, never get 50% effort from me. 150% if anything.
Never said to us, maybe. I never felt the love. I was too busy obeying and marching.
Damn, you see that? I was too busy obeying and marching. Oh my. I was too busy obeying and marching. Watch this real quick. Where you at? Where you at? I had you written down. Here it goes right here. Second Esdras. Watch this. Second Esdras, chapter 14, verse 34. It says, therefore, if so be that ye will subdue your own understanding and reform your hearts, ye shall be kept alive, and after death ye shall obtain mercy. Why? Because remember, love thy brethren as you love yourself. Remember the scriptures that say, Deuteronomy 6 and 7, teach our children the laws of God, right? But instead, what did she say? Instead, she was saying, I felt guilty. That was the way it was. That what? What was the way it was? Because I guess it never was said to us.
I never felt the love.
I never felt the love from my parents. We were very bitter. Oppression makes a wise man mad.
You know, I was too busy obeying and marching. And
how many of our people are too busy obeying and going to work? How many of our gente, mothers and fathers, they're too busy going to work? Too busy even having time to talk to us. Too busy obeying, paying the bills. Sometimes, man, my mom would pay the bills before she would feed us. I'm not lying to y'all. I mean, I don't want to say that. She would pay the bills first and then feed us beans. Instead of saying, I'm going to feed y'all good food and then I'll pay the bills. No, she was like, no. I got to pay the bills. I got to pay the bills. I'm obeying and marching at the command of who? The enemy.
And I feel guilty that that's the way that I was.
After hearing her grandmother's stories, Vanessa is just starting to process her upbringing.
I had so many questions, as I became an adult. Why aren't we affectionate? It's an overwhelming feeling to know.
You see that? She's asking the same question we're asking. Why are we not affectionate with each other? Why is that so difficult? Why? And then this is why I was really not agreeing. Let me read what you're saying, Mexican. Let me go back, because you know me, man. I'll go into my class and then I'll kind of like pass it by real quick. Niccolo Machiavelli illustrates the use outcasts to gather inner circle intel. So camps may have recruited our bro, but I trust they will naturally leave. The majority of our people will not be as gullible. You're so right. Yes, that has been my goal. Too much sin in my spirit. Now, while there's time, I seek redemption, but at the same time, help to awaken the rest of our oppressed bros with the grace of the Almighty blessings. Man, that's the same exact thing we're doing, brother. Honestly, bro. Honestly, man. Because as destroyed as I was, okay, for example, you see this right here, right? Man, every time I see this sister of mine, that's my God, it's like my daughter, bro. My daughter's 19 years old. Look, my thorn in my flesh, this right here was my sin, and this sin opened up a bunch of wicked concupiscent things. Galatians 5:19, I didn't even care for it. I was like, man, come on. Anything new that I can't do? That's the kind of spirit wickedness I had in me. So when it comes to what you're saying, Mexican, man, all I want is not to sin. I'm done with that life. I'm done with it. So when it comes to like this particular thing here, I know what the sister's going through, because this sister goes through what us brothers to go through when I was younger, and I battled it. Watch. Why do we have to be this way?
I'm an adult.
All those tattoos are signs of pain, frustration, struggle. That's how we express ourselves, especially young people.
Why aren't we affectionate? It's an overwhelming feeling to know that the person who, raised you had to endure all of this. And
that's why, brothers and sisters, man, when you reflect on our parents, I know maybe some of us may have some resentment. Yeah, we learned tough love. Yeah, bro, that's fortunate and unfortunate. That's fortunate because the way that we strap our boots like, yo, man, hey, ¿sabes qué? Let's go to work. Okay, fine. Ya deja de estar renegando. Go to work, get to the point. Okay, hurry up. Come on. We don't got no time. We're like that. It's tough love. But you know what? That tough love also affects us spiritually, because that means that we don't have that love for our brethren. I won't go out of my way for you, bro. Unless you in it to win it with me when it comes to the hood. Yeah, but if I see you around, I'm like, man, I don't know your ass. Why we call it mad dogging? We were the ones inventing that. Hello? We have bitterness. Poor sister, man. I'm telling you, this is painful to see, because I know what the pain is like. I tried to get rid of my life, man. I was that messed up.
Raised you had to endure all of this. And then it just, I felt bad. I still feel bad. It helps me understand a lot more.
This is turtles. Loca.
Loja.
Loja.
You see that right there? That's biblical. All right. So now the young sister is trying to get connection with her grandma, right? Well, Beck, guess what? What she's trying to do is establish herself as a righteous woman, at least on this level. What we need to do is then reach out to our families and then say, listen, sister, guess what? You are a Hebrew. And that pain that you got, guess what? I went through it too. Exactly the same way. What? For real? Yeah. And you look just like me. We're family. Deuteronomy 6:6, it says, and these words which I command thee this day shall be in thine heart, meaning the mind. Mark 7:21, it means the mind. The heart means the mind. All right. Read Mark 7:21. That's what it tells you. And thou shalt teach them diligently unto thy children, and thou shalt talk of them when thou sittest in thine house, and when thou walkest by thy way, and when thou liest down, and when thou risest up. That sounds like you're supposed to make friends of your children, just like the homie. You always there hanging out at the house, when you hanging around walking, when you chilling, and they spend the night, whatever, man. Y'all hanging out, but when you wake up in the morning after you're hanging out together, whatever, man. You know what I'm saying? So the same way that we were treating them, guess what? We're supposed to treat our children that way. That's exactly what we're supposed to do. So all praises to the Most High that I'm seeing this here.
Loca.
Because you know what? I stopped seeing this video. I kid you not. I thinking about maybe the third minute. I figured, let me just watch it freshly. This is the first time I've done this. I usually plan my stuff out, but I wanted to just move by the Spirit because it was basically like that. All right, let's go.
Loja.
Vanessa and Augustina are proof that the forced assimilation policies failed. Besides learning Muskogee together, the two who are part of the Seminole Nation attend traditional stomp dances as well.
You have them laced up.
Generations of Native people are coming together to march forward, seeking to be heard.
Seeking their fathers. This is my job. We have to find our fathers, and our fathers got to find us.
When they put Indian people in the ground like that, those are seeds.
They could beat us, abuse us, hurt us, mentally affect us, but our spirit was still there.
Hey, Mexican, you said something like that, brother. You said something like that.
Native people may not immediately receive answers from the government or churches, but by sharing.
Yo, check this out. See, for you guys that have no clue, right? That have no clue. Watch this real quick. I'm going to show y'all something.
But our spirit was still there.
Native people may not immediately.
This is really exactly like how some of my cousins look like. Kid you not. This is like literally like my niece, what she looks like. This is like my tío, my cousin Jeronimo, what he looks like. I'm telling you, man, we come in different shades.
Receive answers from the government or churches, but by sharing their stories with the world, former students like Augustina are embarking on a healing journey of their own, no longer allowing the past to define them.
You see what I'm saying, brothers and sisters, man? No longer. So keep this in mind. This is what we're supposed to do. All right. Sirach 36:25. We got to start getting to work, man. Sirach 36:25. This is what it reads. Okay. It says, where no hedge is, there the possession is spoiled. So what are we supposed to do? We're supposed to protect each other with the scriptures, with your brethren, with people that believe in the scriptures. Where no hedge is, there the possession is spoiled. And he that had no wife will wander up and down mourning. Meaning, if you have no, I'm gonna use this for lack of better words, doctrine, right? Like if you don't have this scriptures, this belief, right, or this teaching, this culture, this heritage of ours, then you're gonna wander up and down if you don't know who you are. So that's why we need protection, because if not, we're spoiled. So what do you think they're doing? She's going back to her roots, going back to her grandma. She's going back to the protection that she once did not have. She once did not have it. Okay? Because guess what? Oppression did make us mad, but now we're wiser. Like she said this. Watch this.
Of their own, no longer allowing the past to define them.
We cannot let the past define us anymore. And that's what One West is doing. Going to the past and then finding themselves, you guys did this, you guys know. And you know what? On top of the fact that you're lying. We've never done any of that. We have to restore our spirit. That's our job is. We didn't enslave nobody. They did. So they got something to work on. We don't. We got a different mission.
I love my children, but I could never say I love you. I showed them my love by doing for them. I say to the parents of today, tell your children you love them. Pero,
Man, that is such a trip, bro. I collect $2 bills too. And that's just oh man, that's great. That's fantastic.
yes, I love you too, son.
There you go.
That's right. Let him know, Ak. Let him know. Man, you see that? Probably he had never said that before. Sirach 21, 15. I'm almost done, man. So now, what type of wisdom are we supposed to gain, brothers? This isn't hate talk, bro. This is rebuilding. This is restructuring and bringing our families back together. 21:15, and it reads, a skillful man hears a wise word. He will commend it and add unto it. But as soon as one of no understanding hear it, he is it displeaseth him and chase it behind and casteth it behind his back. Who does that? The other nations. Watch this. Psalms 49. No, sorry, 50 and verse, let's go to 16. But unto the wicked God saith, what hast thou to do to declare my statutes, or that thou shouldest take my covenant in thy mouth? Seeing that thou hated instructions and cast my words behind thee. See what I'm saying? That's what they are. And guess what they do? Psalms 49:6. They that trust in their wealth and boast themselves in the multitude of their riches, none of them can be by any means redeem his brother, nor give to God a ransom for him. Watch this real quick. Their inward thoughts is that their houses shall continue forever, and their dwelling places to all generations. They call their generations. They call their lands after their names, after their own names. Nevertheless, man being in honor abideth not. He is like the beasts that perish. This is their way. Their way is their folly. Yet their posterity approve their saying. You see what I mean? They feel like they're justified that God is with them. That God is with them. It says here. Let's see. Thou didst speak. Psalms 50:20. Thou didst speak against thy brother. These things hast thou done, and I kept silent. Verse 21. Thou thoughtest that I was altogether such as one as thyself, but I will reprove thee and set them in order before thine eyes. Is it not happening? So, what is exactly should a skillful man do? You brothers and sisters that are teaching this or learning this, like you, so-called, I'm sorry, brother Meshikan, you're gonna create a channel, bro. A skillful man will hear a wise word and will commend it. So now it's your job, man, to get that going. You got to teach our brethren the information you know, man. You're a wise man. Proverbs 9:9. Watch this real quick. We're great men. We just got to wake up. Give instructions to a wise man, what I tell you, and he will be yet wiser. Teach a just man, and he will increase learning. Like which one? Not sinning. That's simple. Verse 12. If thou be wise, thou shalt be wise for thyself. If thou scorn it, thou alone shalt bear it. So like those brothers, so-called brothers that come in and like they're scorning, like, you guys are teaching hate. No, man, you have no idea what we're doing. We're rebuilding our spirit, man. For so long, we've been destroyed, and for so long, we've let other people tell us who we are. Titus 3:2, to speak evil of no man, to be no brawler, but gentle, meaning fair, meaning just, showing all meekness unto all men, meaning discipline. Okay? Verse 3, for we ourselves also were sometimes foolish, disobedient, deceived, serving diverse lusts and pleasures, living in malice, envy, hateful, and hating one another. That's what we've been doing. For quite some time, we've been doing that. So when it means gentle, it also means just and equitable, okay? Just look it up. James 3:17. I'm almost done, family. Where you at? Where? 3:17. That's what it reads. It says, but the wisdom that is from above is pure, meaning clear, conscious, mindful, prudent, then peaceable. What is it? Being fair.
looking at their situation and knowing, hey, you got to know how to deal with these nations. That's not our job to be fighting them. We're not a fighting nation. We were taught to make war because we weren't a fighting nation. So what are we supposed to do? Learn the scriptures. That's our job is right now. But the wisdom that is from above is pure, then peaceable, gentle, meaning equitable, and easy to be entreated, full of mercy and good fruits, with partiality and without hypocrisy. Okay, so watch this. Jeremiah 29:7. It says it in the Old Testament, so you guys see that I'm not lying. 29:7, and it reads, and seek the peace of the city, whether I have caused you to be carried away captives. Why would he say that? And pray unto the Lord for it, for in the peace thereof shall ye have peace. So you pray for the city because it's not for you, it's for your family, for your brethren. Why would you go F the white man, F the white man? What if that white man happens to work with somebody that's related to you and they see them with fringes? They're going to treat them like shit. Excuse my language. That's what's going to happen. And you're not being mindful. And you're dealing with that spiritual hatred. It is not for us, guys. It's not for us. Hebrews 12:14. I tried it, man, and it tasted nasty. Hebrews 12:14 says, follow peace with all men. Once again, follow peace with all men. Not black man, not white man, not Asian man, not Israelite men only. Not just our men. I'm talking about all men in holiness, without which no man shall see the Lord. You see that? If you're not at peace with all men, you're not going to see the Most High. So over here being you're not going to see the Lord. It says it right here. Without which no man shall see the Lord. So follow peace with all men. And holiness, meaning follow peace with all men by keeping the laws of God, being disciplined within the laws of God. That's how you keep peace with all men. Looking diligently, lest any man fail of the grace of God. Lest any root of any root, ANY, One West, IUIC, GMS, ISUPK, all of y'all, Shikaris, lest any root of bitterness springing up trouble you, and thereby many be defiled. Lest there be any fornicators, and as profane as Esau. I wonder now, are you guys Esau then? Are you letting your bitterness defile you? Romans 12:18. Even Paul says it. It consistently says it. The Old Testament, New Testament. If it be possible, as much as lieth in you, live peaceably with all men. All men. Not just some, all of them. So when it comes to the hatred and the anger and resentment and all of this bitterness and confusion, man, our people don't need that. We come from such a destroyed spirit. We don't need that, family. We need to get rid of these mental shackles. They came in with that hatred. We're still shackling ourselves with the same hatred, thinking that it's going to resolve anything. No, you're on the outs. You're basically only with the flesh and not working. Remember, if y'all want to get to know the Most High, it's in the Bible. And how do you break yourself down? Through the Bible. And why does the Messiah even say the kingdom of God is within you, meaning the Most High is in you? So you break that ground to see him clearly, pure. All right. So anyhow, man, that's all I got for you, families. There's this song that I do like. Guys, I didn't have a video. I kind of thought I had it and I didn't, but I think we've had enough of the I don't want to say enough of the genre, because I do want to also make sure that we have a blend of understanding of how to deal with sin, how to deal with curses, how to deal with these blasphemies, these doctrines. So I want to get into those classes next. Okay. So hey, family, love y'all very much. You Native brothers and sisters, man, y'all need to really understand this Bible is your book. The so-called white man and the so-called black man only used it to destroy us. All right. So here you go, man. Family, you take care. Let me see what messages you guys got. We just want to work our own lands and feed our own farms. What the Most High gave us. Hey, man, straight up, man. Master builders, straight up. Yahweh let evil people prosper for a time until their time of evil is finished. Then he'll kill them. All praises. Like I said, Wisdom of Solomon 18:7. You got to ask for salvation for your gente, but you also got to wish for destruction for them. But without bitterness. Like, hey, I know what you did. It's all good, man. I'm gonna work on myself and help my gente out and love them and raise my family right and marry my children correctly and farm and raise cattle. And if that's what you want to do, then great. Family, I love y'all, man. Here it goes.
Quise dar un paso frente al dolor, donde había gris empecé a dibujar color. Quise dar el paso, me enfrenté al dolor, donde había gris empecé a dibujar color. Empecé a dibujar color. No puedes rendirte, cargar a los demás con tu dolor. Debes vivir como un luchador, resistirte a perder lo bueno en tu interior, tratar de aportar algo, hacer del mundo algo mejor. Me dejé caer en tus pupilas, me gusta verte que vuelas cuando tú crees que caminas. Ando en los Perseidas, encerrado en la cabina, fabricando artefactos que no imaginan. Las esquinas de mi ser no me dejan ser más grande, pero no voy a caer y a rendirme como un cobarde. Tengo sueños que cumplir, el corazón dentro me arde. Puede que mañana sea tarde, te vi marchar. Cuando me enteré tú ya no estabas. No debí esperar, no debí buscar. No me encontraba, no. Quise dar el paso, me enfrenté al dolor. Donde había gris empecé a dibujar color. Empecé a dibujar color. No puedes rendirte, cargar a los demás con tu dolor. Debes vivir como un luchador, resistirte a perder lo bueno en tu interior, tratar de aportar algo, hacer del mundo algo mejor. Te gusta pensar que siempre podrás escapar de la tormenta, pero no puedes saber cuándo vendrá. Temes el dolor, pero alimentas las cosas que te hacen daño y crean inseguridad. Andas con la sensación de ser realidad inmensa, pero te sientes pequeña ante cualquier adversidad. Sigues tu criterio, crees saber lo que otros piensan, pero no eres capaz de comprender su complejidad. Pensar te hará dudar de lo que veas, lo que sientas. Serás la parte de ti que más alimentas. Tendrás que combatir el dolor con todas tus fuerzas para poder amar limpio y no dañar al que está cerca. ¿Cuántas veces me perdí por buscarme donde no era? ¿Cuántos momentos sentí ser de otra tierra, de otra era? Tanto tramo me perdí por correr tras quien no me espera, tan condicionado por el miedo a que no me quisieran. Cuando el alma vive hostil, el cuerpo busca la manera de fingir, pero no empiezan a surgir fronteras. Barreras que no te dejan seguir, pero te hacen feliz si las superas. Me enfrenté al dolor, donde había gris empecé a dibujar color. Empecé a dibujar color. No puedes rendirte, cargar a los demás con tu dolor. Debes vivir como un luchador, resistirte a perder lo bueno en tu interior, tratar de aportar algo, hacer del mundo algo mejor. Dar el paso, me